I've always been intrigued by the darker corners of the internet. Those late-night sessions on Reddit where I would lose myself in eerie threads, along with binge-watching unsettling YouTube videos and exploring bizarre online communities, have always been my secret indulgence. However, I never truly experienced fear until TikTok entered the scene. Initially, TikTok seemed like just another platform brimming with cheerful content, but as the app began to understand my preferences, it started presenting me with the very videos I was drawn to, unsettling and creepy clips that sent chills down my spine. I found myself captivated, spending countless hours scrolling through these short, increasingly disturbing videos. Then, something occurred that shifted everything for me, an event I still struggle to discuss. This is a true story, not one of those myths that float around the internet. It happened to me, and I can't shake the unsettling thought that it could easily happen to anyone who ventures too far into the darker side of TikTok. It all began quite innocently. One evening, as I lay in bed scrolling through TikTok like I often do, I stumbled upon a video that completely froze me in my tracks. It featured a girl in a dimly lit room, her eyes wide with terror, and she remained completely still, just staring into the camera with an expression of pure fear. The caption read, "It's inside the house." I initially brushed it off as just another jump scare, but the image haunted me long after I had closed the app. There was something about her gaze, a silent plea for help, that unsettled me deeply. The following night, I couldn't shake the memory of that video, so I went back to TikTok to find it, but it had vanished. I tried various search terms, but nothing appeared. Feeling defeated, I resumed scrolling through my feed, and that's when I spotted it again. A video of the same girl, now outside on a shadowy street. She was murmuring something, but I couldn't decipher the words. The video was unsteady, the camera struggling to focus on her face. This time, the caption read, "It's getting closer." My heart raced. It felt too vivid, too intimate. I scrolled through the comments, searching for some clarity, but found nothing. No one else seemed to find the video strange. I checked the account that uploaded it, but it was empty. No username, no bio, just a blank profile. When I clicked on the profile picture, it was merely a black screen. A shiver ran down my spine. I reassured myself it was just a prank, perhaps an elaborate alternate reality game designed to toy with people. Yet, the discomfort remained. In the following days, I couldn't shake the videos from my mind. I would open TikTok, scroll through my feed, and then close the app, only to reopen it moments later, hoping for another video from that same account. It felt like the app was teasing me, displaying everything except what I craved. Then, one night, I received a notification from TikTok. My heart raced again as I noticed it was from that same account. The message simply said, "Check your front door." I froze in place. I was alone at home, lying in bed with the lights off. The only sound was the gentle hum of the air conditioner. I tried to convince myself it was just a prank, that someone was playing a trick on me, but the fear that had been building inside wouldn't dissipate. I climbed out of bed, my legs quaking as I approached the front door. I lingered there, feeling as if time had stopped, fixated on the doorknob while my heart raced wildly. At last, I found the strength to turn the knob and push the door open, only to be met with an empty hallway, eerily quiet. A shaky breath escaped me as I tried to steady my nerves, but just as I was about to retreat inside, something caught my eye on the floor. A small folded note. My hands shook as I picked it up and unfolded it, revealing a blank page with just one word written in a hurried scrawl. "Run." Panic surged through me, and I dropped the note, slamming the door shut and locking it before racing back to my room, my mind swirling with dread. Sleep eluded me that night, as an unsettling sensation crept over me, making me feel as though I was being watched. The following day, I attempted to brush it off as a prank, convincing myself that someone had found my address and was toying with me, yet the anxiety lingered. Each time I opened TikTok, I braced myself for another ominous message or video that would further unravel my sanity. Then, one fateful night, While lying in bed and scrolling through TikTok, I received another notification from the same account, chillingly instructing me to look behind you. I froze in place, the darkness of the room enveloping me, with only the glow of my phone illuminating the space. The thought of turning around filled me with dread, but the overwhelming fear compelled me to confront whatever might be lurking there. With my heart racing, I slowly turned my head, scanning the dimly lit room. Initially, there was nothing to see, just shadows that seemed to stretch endlessly into the darkness. However, a flicker of movement caught my eye, prompting me to spin around quickly, only to find the space empty and still. I exhaled a shaky breath, convincing myself it was merely a trick of the mind. Yet, as I glanced back at my phone, I noticed it. A figure lurking in the corner, just beyond my line of sight. Panic surged through me and I screamed, dropping my phone as I leaped from the bed. I dashed to the door, flinging it open and racing into the hallway, not stopping until I burst outside into the chilly night air, struggling to catch my breath. I glanced back at the building, half hoping to see that figure watching me from a window, but there was only darkness and the eerie stillness of the night. That evening, I chose not to return to my apartment, opting to stay with a friend, overwhelmed by fear. Yet the terror lingered. Every time I closed my eyes, the image of that figure in the corner haunted me, a silent observer in the shadows. The following day, I uninstalled TikTok, blocked every contact, and even changed my locks, doing everything I could think of to ensure my safety. Yet, the anxiety remained, a persistent shadow lurking in my thoughts. As weeks went by, I began to convince myself that the nightmare was behind me, that whatever had tormented me was finally gone. However, one fateful night, a text from an unfamiliar number shattered that illusion. It simply stated, "He's still inside." My phone slipped from my grasp as my heart raced uncontrollably. Alone in my apartment, the very place where it all began, I felt an overwhelming urge to flee, but my legs felt like lead. I stood paralyzed by terror, the shadows around me deepening and closing in. Then I heard it, a faint whisper emanating from the corner of the room. "You can't escape," it hissed, the tone chilling and menacing. "He's already inside." I turned slowly, my breath hitching as I caught sight of the figure lurking there, observing me. It was the same tall, gaunt silhouette from before, its face shrouded in darkness. This time, however, I could see its eyes, cold, hollow, and brimming with malevolence. A wave of panic surged through me, urging me to scream, to flee, to take any action at all, yet I found myself frozen in terror. The ominous figure drew nearer, its movements eerily silent against the floor. Just as it reached out to make contact, I finally managed to let out a scream, and then everything faded to darkness. When I regained consciousness, I was sprawled on the cold, hard floor of my apartment, the chill seeping into my back. The room was deserted. The figure had vanished, but the lingering fear clung to me, gnawing at my thoughts. That day, I made the decision to leave my apartment for good, relocating to a new city, changing my phone number, and doing everything possible to wipe the slate clean. Yet the fear trailed behind me, a persistent reminder of the nightmare I had endured. I never dared to open TikTok again. The thought was too overwhelming. Occasionally, I would receive a text from an unknown sender or catch a fleeting shadow in my peripheral vision, and those moments would bring it all rushing back. I would recall the figure looming in my room, observing and waiting, and deep down, I knew it was still out there, lurking and watching. I've made attempts to move forward and put the past behind me, yet the memories persist, casting a gloomy shadow over my existence. I've shared this tale with a handful of friends, but they often dismiss it as mere fiction, a product of my imagination. However, it's far from that. It's a genuine experience. So, if you ever find yourself browsing TikTok in the late hours and come across something that sends chills down your spine, something that feels all too real and personal, keep this story in mind. And whatever you do, resist the urge to glance over your shoulder, for you never know what might be lurking there, waiting for the right moment. If you enjoyed this chilling tale, Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more terrifying stories. And remember, sometimes the most horrifying monsters aren't the ones that chase you, but the ones that wait patiently for you to come to them.